Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob. And we're going to go ahead and put this deck together. I've made the plates. I decided not to weld them in. They're still pretty solid, the same thickness. It's just got one little crack right there. And I want to leave them plates so that if I ever have to change decks, I can change them and put them on the new deck to save it. So I think it'll work just fine because we'll have the plate here and then the pulley or the spindle will go up against it and sandwich the other side because it's got a big lip on it. So we have two pieces of metal that's going to sandwich this metal. The main reason that these break off around the bolts is because the vibration is between here and the next bolt. So when this is vibrating, this is cracking, or is going to crack. So with a plate on it, that will keep a even amount of pressure a little bit further out on each one of these holes. So it'll hold down a little bit better and keep vibration down, because vibration is what causes those to break out. But three of them are good, and one of them's broke all the way around actually. But once we sandwich it and put the bolt in it, it's not going to go anywhere. It'll be fine. So I'm going to get this set on the ground because I need to put the spindles in. So I'll get this set up and we'll be back. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and put these in. I got my spindles, I got my plates, and we're going to start with this side over here. Alright, so now that we've got the pulleys on there, now we can go ahead and put our brake system on it. So, first thing we have is this bracket here that mounts right there with this bushing. It's an offset bushing, and that goes down. Alright. Then we got the bolt. So before I do this, everywhere that's going to be metal to metal, I want to put a little bit of grease on it. So we're going to take a little bit of this bearing grease and we're just going to skim the bottom of this. And we'll do top of this. And we don't want a whole lot. You don't want a whole lot of squeeze out. You just want to make it slick. So then we'll put some on the top, and you can see where it's been wearing. So we'll put that on there. Then we'll put a little bit on this bearing, or this bushing, and put that in there. And get a rag. Alright, so now we can put that in. And that's a 10 millimeter. Had to hunt my damn 10 millimeter down. So then we'll tighten that down. And you want to pull up on it to make sure it's centered on that shank that's on that washer. Alright. now it's nice and smooth. So the next thing we're going to do is put the brakes on it. So this is probably the most difficult part of the whole job, is these things. So that goes in there on the top, just like that. And then this goes on there like that, but we're going to put a little bit of grease on it, underneath of it. A little bit underneath this part. Then we'll put some on this other bushing. We got another bushing. And then that goes on there on top with the shank facing down. Then this washer is a cupped washer. It needs to go like that. So we put that in there. But before we do that, we've got to put this spring in here, wherever the hole is. Then we'll tighten that one down. And then we need to take this and get it on the other side of that. So we'll take this needle nose pliers and see if we can't twist that on around there. Alright, so we got that working. Alright, then we've got to do the second one. So that one goes in this one. Or I'm sorry, this one. Lord, I'm getting ready to steer you guys wrong. Daggone me. What's wrong with me? Alright, so now we'll put that one on, and we're going to put some grease on that too. On the bottom and the top. I got a set of these coming, but I want to go ahead and get this together, because I got to take all that back apart. Of course, I can't run the tractor till I get a rear end in it anyway. Alright, so now, same deal. Stick that L or Z bend down in there. And then tighten her down. Alright. So now we're going to take and bend that spring around, which you guys are probably in my way, but we'll try to do this with you in our way. Alright, so now we've got that one done. Alright, so then we got a spring that I had to make. I wanted to cut this down and move this bend up here, but some of these springs are brittle and won't bend right. So I didn't want to take a chance on breaking it. So I just needed to go another probably 3/8 of an inch to get some good tightness to it. So basically what I decided to do was taking instead of putting it in this hole, because if I had the right spring, it goes in here and then in that hole. But it's loose, so it's just basically a helper to keep it going. So here's where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it around that thing right there, just like that, because this is never going to change the angle. It's always going to go in that direction. So if it was coming in this direction, it still wouldn't come off. So that's got plenty of tension on it. So that's just a spring I used. Alright, so next we have the bracket that you put your engagement cable to, and I don't have to change the settings on it because the bolt hose was already showing. And I changed these to a different size head rather than a 10mm, simply because one of the covers was missing, and I wanted to keep all the bolts for the covers in case I ever get a cover. But I don't think that side ever had a cover on it. Just from the evidence that I have, tells me that there was no cover on this side, or no, that side, because there's no bolt holes for it. So I saved them bolts for nothing. I'm looking for my right socket. I keep getting dizzy every time I stand up. Alright, so that we're going to pull all the way. If you need adjustments, this thing's got slotted holes so you can move that back and forth. Just like that. But I'm putting it back where it was originally. Usually you luck out by you doing original setup. Now, if anybody wants me to paint this thing yellow, feel free to send me the paint. I'll be glad to paint it. I've seen on eBay they had 3 cans of it for $33. I ain't paying that $10 a can. That's crazy. So I can go to the dollar store and get this black and get it for a couple dollars a can. Alright, so now the next thing we need to put on is our belt guards, or belt guides. And I've modified these also. What I did with these, it had 2 holes here. One's threaded and the other one's just a blind hole, or a hole. So on the bottom of this bracket, this was all solid, but it had a tit on it, on the bottom of it, that stuck out, that went into that hole that's supposed to keep that centered. But what happens is these things get bent, and then that gets, there's not enough going down in the hole to make it not turn. So I just drilled it out and put a nut and a bolt on the other side. And that's the wrong place. This one's the one that goes there. The only downfall of that is I got to put a nut on the bottom side, on that one, not this one. So we're going to put the nut on it. There's that one. So then we've got the other one that goes on there just like this. So we're going to put that in. And this was the same deal. It had that little tip that went in the hole, and we changed that. So now it's not going to turn. So I'm going to leave that loose. I should have kept this one loose also, because I'm going to have to put the belt on it. Alright, so let's go ahead and put the belt on it. So the belt goes just like that. Oh, wait a minute, let's see here, which way does this go? Actually, it goes, yeah, that's right. It goes just like that, that. And then that goes in there like that. So let's go ahead and put that pulley on it. And here I ain't even got you guys looking in the right direction. Oh Lord. So the pulley goes around the pulley, and then it goes on this. Alright, and then you got the other idler pulley. And if this hadn't come in a set, I wouldn't have got this, because the other one I had was good. So we pull this around. And it don't matter which way these go. And these are, I believe, 12 millimeter. I think. Nope. I got the ratchet up here somewhere with that socket on it. So then we'll tighten these down, and this is a 15 millimeter. Alright, these here are 7/8, these here bolts. So we got 7/8 bolts here, got 13 millimeter on these. Of course, yours will be 10 millimeter. These are 10 millimeter. Basically, all the rest of them was 10 millimeter. I just changed mine and put 13 millimeter heads. So then we can tighten that down now. Need an extension for that now. So go ahead and tighten these down. But the guides on these mower decks are very important. That's what keeps your belt in line and running true. And if you got one of them that's bent or not doing its job, it can cause you to chew up belts. Alright, we have basically turned this into a brand new deck. I've reinforced the spindle mounts. All the springs are new, the pulleys are new, the belt's new. Everything's new. So now it's a matter of putting it underneath the tractor after I get the blades on it. So we're going to go ahead and put the blades on right now, if I can get it set up. So now we've got the spindles ready. Now let's talk about these blades a little bit and show you the difference. These are the new blades. Man, these things have really been frickin' used. Let's line them holes up and let's see what the difference is. Well, they're probably pretty close to being balanced, but the rounded part's what bothers me. These things are pretty thin out here, so it was just best to go ahead and get another set. Now I just don't know which way they're supposed to go, so let me see here. You'd think they'd put a mark on this telling you up or down, but I'm pretty certain that it goes like that. So actually, I don't know if it will go there like that. They need sharpened. They're dull. But I'm going to look at a video on seeing other people take theirs apart and see how they have theirs. I believe this washer right here is actually wider than this inset, because it's got a little valley in here, and I'm pretty sure that this is wider than that, so it would have to go on like this because this nut's smaller. So I'm going to do some measuring here and see. So we're going to measure this, and this will tell us for a fact if it will. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it goes this way. Not sure which way this thing turns, but the blade is up. So you don't want to get them upside down. So I'll just go check on YouTube and see what they have. I was right. This here hump goes up. And this is probably the same size. Nope, it's bigger. Wow. Boy, them things are close. There's probably let's see how much distance there are between that. 4 millimeters between that blade. So you definitely want this stuff to be true and no bearings be bad, because you don't have a lot of play to work with there. That's pretty close. But they've rounded the ends of these, so the distance is going to be the same no matter where it's at. So you don't have to align these like that. Of course, it's a good practice to keep them so that they don't meet in the middle. But it'll change over belt slippage and hitting something and changing one blade to the other. So you can't keep them straight. So no use even trying. So, but there we got the deck done. Now we're waiting on a rear end for it. Waiting on that plastic rear end to show up. Freaking $360 worth. But she looks pretty good. We'll move our tools here out of the way. Well, actually I gotta tighten that down, don't I? It'd be easier to just take the nut over to the toolbox and find the right one. So that one is a 15/16. And we'll tighten these down. Make sure I'm going in the right direction. Alright. So there we go. We got a deck that's all basically brand new. And she's ready to go in. Now I got to put them brackets on there, but I want to wait until I got the deck underneath the tractor to make sure which way this goes. They had it where those were facing inward like that, so I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes. It says out right there, so I imagine that one's for the right side and this one is for the left side. So we'll wait until we get it on the tractor before we install those. And then I got these got those to for the levelers to adjust the deck height. So I hope that helps you guys to figure out. I know I had a hard time when I first, it was kind of intimidating. Felt intimidating. It was just a lot to it. It looked worse than it really was. So, it's pretty simple once you figure out what each part's doing. Once you figure that out, it's a cakewalk. I can put that together in my sleep now. So I learnt my deck. So doing this was not a bad thing to begin with. It gives you an opportunity to know what your equipment is doing and what it has in it. That way you're starting from scratch. Anything that goes wrong with it after that falls on you. So just got to get the brake pads for it and sharpen the blades. And like I said, we're waiting on the rear end. As soon as it comes, it might be next week before I see it. He's saying that there's no tracking number yet. I hope this is not one of them ones we got a problem with, because they were slim pickings. Anything other than that was $599, $600 for a rear end. So I got this one at half price. It's used. He says it came out of a good working motor that had mower that had a blowed motor. So hopefully it's a good one. And if there's anything wrong with it, I'm hoping that mine still has a good part that's not broke to replace it if it is. But I shouldn't have that problem. He said it runs really good, or works good. So I got a chute coming for it. I decided to get a chute for it because I'm going to continue to fix that plastic over and over and over again. I'm not prepared to do that, so I just went ahead and got another one to put on it. That way I ain't got to modify nothing. So we're that much closer to getting this John Deere done. I cleaned up the wheels and cleaned the frame and everything on it, and I put a here, I'm going to show you this. I put a reverse light on it, or a cargo light, so that when I put the switch right there in that attachment area, it's just got a cover on it, so I just utilized the cover and put my switch there. So now we got a cargo light on there, so if I need to see if it's late, I can. And then I added headlights to the front because I couldn't get the headlight parts for this. But I put headlights there, so now we got headlights there. And that works off of the switch. So all we're waiting for now is the rear end. But it cleaned up really nice. I was shocked that this thing was in as good a shape as it was. But we're getting there. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.